Colorado, Gretchen Haley. She wrote these a few years ago. If you had the chance to start again, to make your life from scratch, to decide what sort of person you would be, who you would love, and how to fill the content of your days, your hours, what songs would you sing to yourself or with others? What prayers would you let fall from your lips, urgently and with praise, with mercy or hope? What blessings would you name and share with strangers and friends? If you could take now that first step, what journey would you begin across deserts or mountains? Or would you take to the sky, which despite the bitter cold is still vast and filled with light? What work would you take? What mischief would you make with boldness and bravery? What failure would you embrace? And what would you release? And where, in the end, would you return and call home? In this new day on the brink of a new year, no magic wishing or wondering is required, for such a chance is always available. As with the in and out of our breath, to begin now, to live like we mean it, to see with new eyes the life that is already and always available, to respond to this gift with wonder and gratitude, to join in this partnership, to tend this flame even when it breaks our heart, to keep showing up, to go with courage into this dawning day. Let us come together in worship.
That was beautiful. Thank you. This community of care is created through our work and our time together, our commitment to one another. This is our covenant, to walk together in loving fellowship, to share our hopes and values. As we pass these baskets, we thank you for your generous gifts, which support the work of this religious community and Unitarian Universalism in the world at large. As a reflection of our values, we are pleased to participate in the Change for Change program. The coins you place in the basket today will support the work of nonprofits in and around the Grand Valley. With gratitude, we will now receive today's offering. This congregation is a community of ourselves. Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to its life, we affirm our lives within it. Please join together in spirit or in body, standing and singing hymn number 1009, Meditation on Breathing. That's in your teal hymnal.
So this is a hymn we've done before, but we'll kind of do it different every time. So when you look at it, you'll see the drone at the bottom, and it's breathe out. And we'll all microphone too. Hello. Hi. So we'll all start out with the drone, which is the bottom part. It says breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, and there's a repeat. So we repeat it, and then we'll then the melody will begin. And if you want to just keep singing the drone the whole time, that's great, because it's beautiful when you get the three parts. So then half of the choir up here will begin the melody, which is the top line, and repeat that. And if you have joined the melody and want to keep singing the melody, great. And then the descant, Janet and I will sing that later on top. And if anybody wants to join in that. So choose the part you want to sing, but we'll all start out with the drone at the bottom. Breathe in, breathe out.
So I want to invite us to do a little exercise this morning. A few years ago, I taught a class called A Year to Live, and it was based on the book called A Year to Live by Mark Levine. And in it, he starts with sort of a meditative practice to think about what would your life look like if you only had a year to live, if you knew that you only had 1 year to live. And so I want us to take just a little bit of time this morning to sit with this. If you want to close your eyes, you can. If you don't want to, that's fine. But imagine that as of today, we were all given exactly 1 year to live. What in your life, the way that you're living it now, would you change? Would you change who you spend time with? How you interact with family? Would you spend more time with friends? Are there some friends who you would choose to spend less time with? If you have a job, would you keep your job for this last year of your life? Would you release the job? Would you engage in a new career, the one that you'd always maybe wanted but hadn't ever gotten around to pursuing? Who are the people you would spend time with? Who are the people you would stop giving energy to immediately? Would you watch more cable TV? Or would you totally turn your devices off? What would you do more of? Would you make scrapbooks? Would you write letters to your children or your grandchildren? Would you spend more time with your life partner? Would you go back to school? I invite us now to take a moment to reflect on our lives as we're living it now. Are you fulfilled? Do you experience joy? Do you have a sense of inner peace? And if not, what are you willing to change right here, now, today, to transform the life you wish you had? I invite you to open your eyes again and just today, just sit with some of those questions and, this week. And you don't have to have all the answers right now. But I really loved that book title, A Year to Live, because so many times life can just change in a blink of an eye. We a lot of times think, oh, well, if there's something important to me, I can do that tomorrow or next year or in a few years or after the kids graduate or when I retire. And sometimes some of us who have lived multiple decades can indeed push things off. And then sometimes things just change. And all of a sudden, the life that you were living, the path that you were on, you're either thrown off the road, you're thrown for a loop, and you didn't even see it coming. And that, I'm sure, in some ways has happened to all of us in some capacity. And then there's also kind of that gentle transformation of life that I was just helping us reflect on. But we don't know what we're going to get. Even on Thursday, we were having a group of us that were finishing up one of the last Active Hope classes, and Peg and Lance showed up and said, sorry we're late, but there was a major motorcycle accident on the bridge. And just like that, somebody's life was drastically transformed. Whether or not this person ended up being severely hurt or maybe even killed, the life that that person was going towards changed in the blink of an eye. And that happens all of the time. We can, living in the mountains, these mountain towns, we can have this beautiful space and we can be hiking, and in 3 days, our favorite trails are totally on fire. And people every year in California wonder if they're going to lose their homes to fires or landslides, because nothing totally ever stays the same. And so the question that I wanted us to explore today is, how are we doing with being human, living our lives, and then knowing at any time there may just be something that we have to let go of. We may decide to gently, slowly let go of something, and we intentionally choose to transform. We do that sometimes when we decide that we are ready to change the shape of our body, and we're going to gently transform it with what we choose to put in our bodies, what we choose to eat, how we choose to move our bodies, and slowly we can see a transformation happen. Or we're just living our lives and all of a sudden we're on that motorcycle and somebody swerves into us and everything is just ripped away. And so what does it mean to live a life of gentle transformation, a life of non-attachment, a paradigm where we can hold on tight, but we can also let go? And so my question for us to reflect on today, each of us individually, and I'm sure we're going to have different answers to this. How well do you release things in your life? How well do you let life kind of go along that river and something comes and you have to take a turn? Are you able to let go of things? I think about in our family, many of you know that the Jones household often has any configuration of any number of animals at any given time. And some of those animals that we adopt are older. And some of the animals that we've adopted as kittens. And we kind of know in the Jones household that what is stable with these animals is that we're going to love them and we're going to care for them and we're going to be honored to have them in our lives. And when you adopt an older 100-pound dog, it's not going to, a 10-year-old 100-pound dog, it's not going to be in your life forever. And so we can bring things in our lives and we can open our hearts to them and we can have unconditional love, and we can also know that it's time to let things go. So it's like, how do you open up and be in a relationship with, but not have to hold on so tightly that you can't let something in your life go? And we do that in so many capacities. We can do that with our jobs or our careers. We can do that with relationships, with friendships, with life partners. How many of us have had who we thought was going to be a life partner, and it turns out you change or they change, and sometimes we hold on tight and we get angry, and sometimes we just need to say, we're taking different paths and I release you. The releasing can be kind of hard. But the releasing is also, when you think about it, that's also kind of what forgiveness is. When we have had something in our lives that is hard or difficult or hurt us, and people say, well, just it's better to forgive and forget. Well, sometimes we don't understand totally what it means to forgive. In my understanding of forgiveness, it's not that you say to the other person, what happened was okay. True forgiveness is when you get to the point that you have just released it, you've let it go, so you're not giving it the energy that it has to control your life and your thoughts and your actions. Sometimes forgiving is just letting go. I heard an analogy one time about water. And if you jump into a body of water and you try to grasp the water, you're going to sink. right? You can't hold on to the water. But if you realize that the water is all around you and you start changing how you're moving, eventually the water becomes your ally, and you rise up and you begin to swim and you begin to navigate the water. But you can't swim if you're trying to hold on to the water. It just doesn't work that way. And I also love the analogy of a little bird sitting on the branch of a tree. And if you think about it, the birds are never scared to stand on that branch of the tree, no matter how sturdy the branches or how unsturdy the branches, because even if the branch falls off, so there doesn't have to be any fear. The bird doesn't have to hold on tightly for dear life to the branch, because it knows that if the branch goes away, it's still going to be okay. And I wonder sometimes if that's what we do in our own lives. We think that we're on a branch and we are looking to see how stable that branch is. Is that branch going to hold us up? Is it secure? Is it going to fall away? And we hold on tighter to the branch. But what if we took the time occasionally to look at our lives and say, okay, are we standing on this branch? And that's fine. This is the foundation for now. But am I prepared to fly if this branch falls away? And I think so many times, so many of us are way more prepared than we think we are, but we've gotten really comfortable with that branch. And so I've been thinking about that this summer. I think about this kind of thing all the time, because life changes. It just does. And sometimes it changes nice and slow and gradually. And sometimes it changes overnight and we have to pivot. And we feel like we've been blindsided. But we can always get back up. And sometimes if we feel like we can't get back up, that's when we have the people around us who surround us and say, we're going to lift you back up. And we're going to carry you until you're on your own feet again, until you've found that branch, until you find your wings to fly. And then one of those people who was carrying you may stumble. And because you found your strength again, you're the person that lifts them back up. And so when I think about our lives, when I think about letting go, about non-attachment, sometimes we think, okay, if we are not attached to something, if we're willing to let something go, it means I didn't care about it. But that's not what it means to be not attached. It means that you can care deeply, you can love deeply, and you can know that you're going to be okay if whatever it is that you're caring for and loving transforms or transitions into something else. Non-attachment does not mean not caring. It means being able to care so much that you know that it's going to be okay if you need to release it and let it go. I've shared this little meme a few times, so you guys might be getting tired of hearing it, but there's this little Facebook meme that has this caterpillar sitting at a table with a butterfly. And the caterpillar says, "You've changed." And the butterfly says, "We're supposed to." And I just love it. But when you're the caterpillar and you're going into that cocoon, you don't know what you're going to come out as. You just kind of have to be willing to trust those instincts, to trust the world, the love around you, to trust that if you go into your own darkness or tunnel, that something is happening and you're going to emerge as something different, but maybe something beautiful and glorious. That, to me, is really what it means to be alive. That's what it means to me to love, and that's what it means to be willing to allow ourselves to let go, to transform, to become something different or something new. And through it all, we can do it with beautiful, open hearts. And that's a little bit about what Maya was talking about today with the kids. For those of you who pay a little attention to larger Unitarian Universalist politics or events, for the last 4 years, they have been thinking about changing the language of the bylaws, which is Article 2. And Article 2 of the bylaws are those 7 principles that we love and hold on to and are in my heart so dearly. And they have changed the language from these 7 principles to more, a little bit different language to what Maya showed you. And because, we're human and we're Unitarians, there was some pain and some grief and some anger and some harsh words with being asked to transform a little bit, to let go of the attachment to certain ways of being and to embrace something else. And I haven't talked a lot about it over the years because for me, it hasn't been an issue because I love these principles. They are who I am as a Unitarian Universalist. They're in me. They inform my faith and how I am in the world. So I hold on to them, and I quote them, and I love them, and I'm excited to see how we articulate our faith moving forward. It's a both and, because transformation actually is kind of fun, and it's kind of beautiful, and you never know what you're going to get. And so my invitation for today and this week and the coming months is to just ask yourself the question, what am I holding on to really, really tightly? What am I able and willing to release? And do I trust that if I let go of that branch that seems so secure, do I trust myself to know that I can actually fly? And I think for most of us, if you're really honest with yourself, you have bigger wings than sometimes you realize. And with that, I'm going to invite us to sing together. Number 10, 11 in your hymnal, your teal hymnal, Return Again.
And we'll do this one as a round. You can remain seated. We'll sing it all the way through once, and I'm gonna say skip the repeats. We'll sing it all the way through once, and then again we'll split. This half will begin the round, and then this half will come up, and maybe give the ladies the same swing. We'll split ourselves in half. Some of it here, some of it here. Yeah, one of here. Yeah.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.